here is your first look at a retail and fake pair of the Air Jordan 1 High in the CO Japan Grey colorway. Can you tell any differences between these two? Because they are incredibly close. Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we have another comparison video for you. But first, if you take a look at my cupboard, it's pretty empty, and that is because I'm moving place very soon. So I haven't sold all my shoes, it's just I am moving out. So they have been moved. But today we have a comparison between a real and a fake pair of the Nike Air Jordan 1 in the CO Japan Grey colorway. So this is the retail pair here, and it was actually purchased directly from Sneakers. So big shout out to Brad Hobbs. His link is in the description for being able to get these, because he got these on early access, so I pretty much didn't even need to try. So we'll just be comparing the differences if you are trying to buy a retail pair. But before we get into the video, if you could please subscribe, like the video, do all that stuff. It really does help the channel grow. But the first thing to note is the actual size of the boxes. So I don't know if you can see the difference in size, but the retail one is a lot bigger than the fake one, even though these are the same size shoe. So that is something to note straight away, but the difference in size of the box. If I give you a close-up of the label, you can see here there are differences once again. So if you look at the Air Jordan 1 High text, you can see that it's much thicker and bolder on the retail pair, comparing this to the fake one. Other than that though, they are incredibly similar. Obviously the placement is different, but this varies depending on where you got it, what box, who distributed it, and stuff like that. So we'll open them up and take a look at the shoes themselves. So we'll open up the retail one first, and then we'll open the fake one. And here is your first look at a retail and fake pair of the Air Jordan 1 High in the CO Japan Grey colorway. Can you tell any differences between these two? Because they are incredibly close. So like I stated before, the boxes of the fake one is a lot smaller, so the shoe barely fits in. Like, it's really pretty tight, whereas on the retail one, like, there's plenty of space. So that is a clear difference to note straight away. So we'll move the boxes to the side and take a closer look at the details of the shoes. So here are the two pairs, and from first glance, they are very close indeed, but I will be trying to break down some of the small details that you can look for if you are trying to purchase a retail pair. So the first difference to note actually occurs on the toe box, and I'll give you a close-up of this. As you can see, that silver leather on the toe box is very different from retail to fake pair. You can see that on the retail one, it's much more creased and a tumbled leather. In terms of feel, they are practically identical. There is no difference in feel whatsoever. Also, if you take a look at the toe box area and the suede going around the toe, and also the stitching, you can see differences here once again. So the suede on the fake pair, in my opinion, actually looks better. It's kind of a longer, rougher suede, and if you move your finger over it, you can see the texture of the suede changing. Whereas on the retail one, the suede is much shorter, so there is a difference in a color and a difference in appearance if you take a closer look. Taking a look at the outer side and looking at the swoosh, comparing the two, I'll give you a close-up here. You can see that the cut of the swoosh is actually very different here once again. You can see on the stitching on the fake swoosh, there is a bigger gap between the stitching and the outer side of the swoosh, whereas on the retail pair, the stitching is very close to the edge of the swoosh. So there's a clear difference here once again. In terms of the suede around the swoosh, in this kind of paneled area here, there isn't too much difference. Just like the toe, there is a slight color difference, but this is probably because of the length of the suede. There is slight differences in the length, which gives that difference in color, but it's very hard to see unless you have them really close up and in hand. And if you're only comparing a retail to a fake, if you just had the fake pair in hand, that would be very hard to see indeed. Spinning the shoe around to the back and taking a look at that hourglass shape, You can see some differences. However, this is probably one of the best shapes I've ever seen on a fake. So they've done a really good job with that hourglass shape. However, you can still see some differences. And if you look from the top, you can see the difference in the shape around the ankle here is very different from retail to fake. When looking at the tongue, obviously on this model, it's a very different tongue than what is used on normal Jordan 1s. So it is very different. It's very thin and very soft and comfortable. They've actually got this completely spot on with a retail pair. However, I would say that the retail pair, the tongue is slightly more stiff, whereas the fake one just seems a bit thin and is more flexible. When looking at the label on the inside of the tongue, and I'll give you a close-up of this, you can see that the placement is slightly different. So where it says 2001 and 2020, you can see this is much higher up on the label on the fake pair, comparing this to the retail one. On the retail one, this text placement is a lot lower. However, in terms of stitching quality all over the shoe, both the retail and the fake one are perfect. Like, there's literally no stitching errors all over the shoe. They've done a really good job, both from Nike QC and I guess the factory that these were produced as well. Once again, on the inner side of the swoosh, they still have that stitching error. So as you can see on the fake one, you can see there's a large gap around the outer side of the swoosh and where the stitching is. Whereas on the retail one, you can see the stitching is really close to the edge once again. So on this Jordan 1 model, they actually went with the round laces. Not a big fan of this. If they'd gone with the flat normal laces, I think it would have looked a lot better. But in terms of this colorway, really a big fan of this, and the fakes have done such a good job of replicating it, which is scary. So please be careful if you are trying to buy a retail pair. Giving you a close-up of the Jordan Wings logo on the side, there really is not much difference at all. In certain areas, the fake one is slightly more bold than the retail one, but other than that, it's really close indeed. There's practically no difference and would be very hard to see if you didn't have a retail pair in hand. So now if I give you a close-up of the inner label. As you can see, the placement of the inner label is actually quite different. So on the fake pair, you can see the US size actually appears on the label beneath the material panel, whereas on the retail one, the US size is actually pretty much covered and you can only see the 10 coming out the bottom, so it is more covered up on the retail pair than on the fake one. In terms of text and everything like that, they seem to have done a very good job of this, but let me know down below in the comments if you can spot any more flaws with the label. So this was just a short comparison between a real and a fake pair of the Air Jordan 1 in the CO Japan colorway. Let me know if you can spot any more flaws in this video and put them down below in the comments. I hope this has helped you if you are trying to buy a retail pair, because these are incredibly close. I really hope you don't get scammed. But thank you very much for watching the video, and I hope you have a great day.